Was there a throw that you made this past week that you went back and said, like, hey, I'm getting in the rhythm of things, like a signal the last couple of weeks maybe, that you were like, hey, I feel comfortable and I can see it on tape?
I mean, the one throw that I think of, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, now I'm getting in a rhythm, but I think the throw to Deontay for the touchdown, that's just timing, guys like me knowing exactly where he's going to be, him doing a great job of getting open, being in the right spot at the right time, and I think that's a timing and rhythm play. And I think that throw right there like shows what you can do when you play on time, when guys get into the right spot. And so yeah, I think that's a perfect example of it.
Leggett has kind of like an interesting stride. It seems like out of his breaks. How have you guys worked on getting your timing right?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would say him riding horses and stuff probably affects some of that. But yeah, I think it's just extra work that we put in. You know, if there's specific stuff that we know that he's going to get, spending time on it, so I know exactly how he's moving and exactly when he's going to be coming out of his breaks to know just for the timing for me.
Dave was talking about Deontay and how he likes to have a focal point of the offense and then build from there. He's obviously got quite a bit of targets the last couple of weeks. You like that approach, and how is that chemistry with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Deontay is one of our best playmakers that we have, so of course we want to get him involved. And but we're not limited to just Deontay. Obviously, we want him to be on certain things and be the number one on certain concepts and stuff because of his talent and the things that he can do with the ball. But I think we're starting to show that we've got more than one guy. And so, yeah, I mean, everybody would say it starts with Deontay, but we've got other guys that are getting in the mix that are helping us out.
You said 2 weeks ago that you would predict that your relationship with Bryce would survive this and even continue to thrive. We've seen some of these NFL films and we've supported you on the sideline. What has that meant, these last 2 weeks to get that from him?
I mean, it's meant so much for him to handle the situation the way he has, and for him to still have so much support for not only me but for this team. I mean, he's still doing a lot of the same things that he was doing before, the switch happened. I mean, it's just the type of person he is that wasn't going to change based off of his situation. And so I've been really appreciative of that. And, I mean, honestly, everything going on has probably made our friendship even stronger because of it.
Go back to Johnson. The first 2 weeks, he really didn't get targeted a lot. The last 2 weeks, 27 times. And you look at Canales' offense, they had Mike Evans in Tampa, and before that, he's always had a vocal point. How big has that been? Is that something you focused on, trying to make him the vocal point because of his abilities, or how big's that been for the offense taking off?
Yeah, I think, every scheme, every play, there's obviously a starting point on it all. And so there's things that Deontay does really well that we want to use and we want to show. And so, I mean, from that standpoint, it's great to have a guy like that you can say, all right, hey, we know that he's going to win on certain things, and I think it's shown with how we've been able to get him the ball in the last couple of weeks.
You've worked with some really good receivers in the past. How does he rate compared to what you work with?
I mean, he's up there. I've been fortunate to be with some really good ones, and his skill set and the things that he can do are definitely up there.
Andy, this may be off media a little bit, but when you were growing up in Texas, was there a quarterback you kind of looked up to or dreamed of becoming one day?
Growing up, I was more into college football than I was into the NFL. Being in the Houston area, the Oilers had left, and then the Texans got there when I was in high school. So it wasn't one. Guys I love to watch. I love to watch Peyton Manning, just his control of the game, the whole no-huddle offense, and all the stuff that he was doing. Being in Texas, Troy Aikman was one, too, that the success that the Cowboys had and everything there. Brett Favre's another one that I like to watch, just gunslinger mentality. So there wasn't one guy that I was like, oh, I want to be like him someday. But, there's guys I definitely followed.
Is there, to follow up on that, are there like a group of Texas quarterbacks who played high school football together that stay close, like Nick Foles at Westlake, or even Drew Brees who was there, or anything like that, or do you stay in touch with guys that you maybe played high school football with and then eventually saw in the pros?
Yeah, I feel like most Texas quarterbacks like know each other somehow, some way, have followed each other's career and all that kind of stuff. So it's been fun just throughout the years to get to know a lot of the guys and guys I still stay in contact with. And you know, you talked about Nick. Nick's the guy that I got to be with in Chicago. So as soon as we got there, it was like we feel like we had known each other for a long time, even though we really hadn't spent much time together. So that's just kind of how it is with a lot of those guys.
Andy, to follow up somewhat off menu after hearing your response to Darren's question, you mentioned gunslinger. I thought I read a while back that do you like the nickname Red Rifle, or what is your perception of it?
Yeah, when I got it my rookie year, and Dan Horde, who was the radio guy in Cincinnati, he's the one that gave it to me. And at first I was like, man, I don't know if I like it, but I mean, it's stuck with me for a long time now, and I definitely like it. I think it fits.
And Red Rocket, is that also you?
I mean, it was Red Rifle, and then people have thrown that one in there too. So I know what everybody means.
Andy, you brought up Chicago. I mean, it seems like you're on like a revival tour against all your former teams at this point. Going back to Chicago, does it have any meaning for you?
Yeah, it'll be fun to be back. You know, for me, I think the biggest thing is Chicago is one of the teams that I haven't beaten in my career. There's only a couple of them. I think there's 3 left, and unfortunately, one of them is the Carolina Panthers, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But yeah, Chicago and Dallas, another team that I played for, is another one that I haven't beat. So. Yeah, I think that's kind of the bigger thing. I've got friends and people that are there that are going to come to the game, and so it'll be fun to see those guys. But yeah, I enjoyed my time in Chicago. It'll be fun to be back there.
When he was giving his initial scouting report on their defense, he mentioned a simple approach, but also a lot of disguise. How do you counter that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you know, seeing what they do post snap. They give a lot of the same looks and do a couple different things off of it, and so these guys play really hard and they know exactly what they're doing. They've been in the scheme for a while, so for us, it's just reacting to what they do, and when we get our chances, we got to make plays.
Have you talked to Bryce about your time in Chicago with Fields and how you see Fields doing well right now, about how, you know, he can come back and do that? Has that been part of y'all's conversation, or?
I mean, Bryce, we've talked about, you know, my whole career and the different things, so we haven't talked about that specifically. So no.
What do you think about the way Fields is playing now?
I'm happy for him. You know, sometimes a fresh start's a good thing, and for him to get the opportunity to go out there, and I feel like he's making the most of it. So yeah, I love seeing him have the success that he's had.
Andy, multiple weeks now, continuing to progress week to week. Are you finding yourself more and more comfortable? Like, what's kind of the ceiling of what this offense can do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely very comfortable with where I'm at, and there's things that we can still improve on, and things that I can do better. But I think just from an overall understanding of what we're trying to do, how we're trying to attack, and the things that the type of football that we want to play, I feel really good about where I'm at.
How important is that defining, like, what you want to do with the offense from game to game?
Yeah, I think it's big, especially early in the season with a new staff, and you're trying to figure out who you are, what's your identity, and for us, we're still kind of learning that. We're still figuring it out. You know, since I've been in there, it's only been a couple games, but so I think we're still trying to figure out exactly who we are and what we can be. But I mean, the potential's there. I think we've shown that what we're capable of doing, and now it's just going out and improving it.
You mentioned that Chicago is one of the teams that you haven't been able to beat. So do you have a checklist?
I mean, I do know the couple teams that I haven't beat, because there's not very many of them, thankfully.
You have mementos from the 29 you have beat?
Huh? Do I have mementos?
Mementos from the 29
No,
you have beat?
no, just a check mark.
Andy, what have you learned about Chuba, Hubbard, over the time you've been here? And obviously, he's, you know, everybody's always wanting competition. He seems to keep going and maintaining that starting job.
Yeah.
What have you learned about him?
Yeah, I think for him, he's like grown into the role that he's in now. I think just over time, he's gotten really comfortable with everything that we're doing, and for him, I know it's like he's kind of taken that next step, and it's been awesome to see because the type of person he is, the way he prepares, the way he takes care of himself, all the things that he does, you love to see him have that success when Sundays roll around. And so, Chuba's been great. He's been great for the team. He's a leader on this team, and so. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy for him to be having the year that he's having so far.
Any more for Andy? All right, thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Ian.
Appreciate your time.
You got it.